Sabr is a word that I'm sure we've all heard many times. We need to know what it means, and we need to know what the Quran says about sabr. And we need to know what is required of us as Muslimin when it comes to the term sabr. Some translate it as patience. But let me inform you, patience is only a part of sabr. Patience is only a very small part of sabr. And it's amazing and surprising how many people do not realize the extent of this word. It includes forbearance, it includes endurance, it includes steadfastness, it includes perseverance, and it includes restraint. All these terms together make the one word sabr in the Arabic language. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. He brought us into existence and He put us onto this earth in order to test us. The reason why we are here at this moment is to pass the test that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided to put us through by the mere fact that He created us. And we need to be conscious of this at every moment of our lives. Every minute is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to pass it and we need to protect ourselves from failure. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us and He reminds us and He continues to remind us. He asks us to seek assistance through bearing sabr, which means being patient, practicing restraint, being forbearant, persevering, and so on. So let us listen to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. He says in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Seek assistance through sabr, through bearing patience, through restraining yourselves, and through prayer. Subhanallah. Seek assistance to achieve whatever you want, to pass the tests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Seek assistance to do that by bearing sabr and by engaging in salah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. Indeed, it is very difficult to do this, except for those who are pious, those who are humble, those who will adopt the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wholeheartedly. For them, it will be simple to engage in sabr. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. O you who believe, seek assistance. You need help? Seek help through bearing patience, bearing sabr, and through salah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He is definitely with those who bear patience. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the end of Surah Al-Imran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اصْبِرُوا وَصَابِرُوا وَرَابِطُوا وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. O you who believe, bear patience and endure and protect the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order that you may succeed. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us success. Let us take a look at the types of patience we have. There are three major types of sabr that we as Muslimin are taught. The first is the endurance required in order to fulfill the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second is the restraint required in order to abstain from the prohibitions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third is the acceptance of the decree of the Almighty when calamity comes in our direction. So these are the three types of patience. A lot of people think that only the third one is known as sabr. That when something happens, they say, bear sabr, my dear brother. Bear sabr, my dear sister. No. The reality is, in order to read salah, you need a lot of sabr. You need to really endure the cold water, possibly the time, or you need to give up your sleep. In order to abstain from backbiting, you need to restrain yourself. That is also known as sabr. So this is known as sabr, that is also known as sabr. And in order to accept the decree of Allah Almighty, that is also known as sabr, when you can be happy with whatever Allah has decreed. Islam is the only religion, and this is a gift for all of us. Islam is the only religion that makes it necessary as a condition of belief. If you would like to be a Muslim, that you need to declare that I bear witness and I believe firmly that good and bad fate is from the Almighty. His decree is final and I am always happy with it and I will not compete with it. If we don't believe that, we are not mu'mineen. Haven't we said, وَالْقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ مِنَ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. We believe that good and bad fate comes from the Almighty. So Islam helps us to live because this whole life is a test. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises us that He will test us. And already in advance we have declared that we will never compete with the decree of the Almighty. We believe that He is in command. We will play our role and the rest we will leave in the hands of the Almighty. Whatever He then decides to do, we will surrender to it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never make us from those who question His decree and who question His power and His independence and the fact that He is in supreme control.